Oh yes. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. It is Aaron Bailey, aka Iris Illusion, coming at you with a very, very special live tutorial today. As the title says, on both TikTok and YouTube, today, technically, even though it falls on the 10th, but we are celebrating 11 years of doing makeup. I started working in makeup since 2014, where it simply just started with a little bit, hey Jordan, started in 2014 with playing with just lipsticks, then eventually it evolved into eyeshadows, then full-on face. But here we are 11 years later, and I'm so excited to get into this little makeup tutorial, so to speak. We are going to be doing something that's inspired by another makeup artist, James Charles, who did a full face of glam makeup, where it was a combination of a subtle floating crease with a pop of blue with an inner liner work, artistry going on. So today I'm going to attempt to mimic that with today's special video. And as a token for this, I'm not going to be going into it doing it like I normally would with just talking about what products I'm using. I want this to be more of a personal video to where we can do a bit of a Q&A, so long as it's nothing derogative, nothing stupid, nothing political or religious among those terms. Anything else is pretty much a go, but for now, let's get started. So I'm going to start going in with my primers. I'm still going to at least talk about the necessary steps, but I won't be going as in-depth with them. So going in with the Wet n Wild Clingy Primer Serum, the Essence Jelly Hydrating Primer, and a little bit of my Hard Candies Mattifying Primer and Milk and Cookies Primer that has just a slight touch of hydration to it. On top of that, we are going to go ahead and start priming the outer perimeter of the face. So our canvas has something to work with. Oh, 11 years. It's hard to believe that time flies that fast when you're having fun. So, starting off with, I'm going to go in with my go-to, which is the Multitasker Better Filter Foundation from Rimmel in the shade Fair Light, which is number 2. And just start slathering down on some of the areas that require more coverage. Because this man knows how to do it better than most people. Get it with a Joey. Alright, now moving on to the foundations. Looking back, it kind of baffles me how, when I first started, I was not as open with wanting to play with makeup. But it's amazing how far along I've come with this craft and being able to express my articulate freedom. Well, that's because people like you need to get out more if that's the case. You have the world at your fingertips, yet choose nothing to do with it. Just blending in the foundation. Do I still get my period? Yeah, roughly about every Wednesday, knowing I gotta go back to work. Right, and then stepping in with contour. And I'm using one of the new products. This is the Lang Mani Bronzer in 101, light to medium. Just going to emphasize the contours here. And then going in, just gonna slim down this forehead. Moving on to the other side. Hey Jay, how's it going, sweetheart? Good, good. It's great to hear, sweetie. And I'm just filling that out. Hello there. Nope, not that brush. And then for today, I'm going to be using the Rimmel Multitasker Concealer in the shade Porcelain. This is a new one that kind of came out not too long ago. I love how soft this blends out. And for only $5, you can't beat that. It's not as brightening as I hope, which is why I have a fun new product I've been using recently. This is the You Can Be Cream Foundation in Pure White. It's supposed to be a cream to powder foundation, and I just use a little bit in the highest points of my highlight. Finger. And this to me kind of emulates that spotlight makeup, especially if you see like Angelica Houston in the Addams Family, just to kind of highlight the highest points, which would be the upper part of the middle part of the forehead, the under eye section, to just kind of emphasize where the white needs to be. Oh, thank you. And for only like $7 on Amazon, you can't beat that. And they have a multitude of colors ranging from white, blue, green, pink, and yellow. And then even having their own translucent powder. It's actually a pretty inexpensive but affordable brand you could find online. Right, now moving on to the brows. So we're going to keep things a little bit more neutral since, as stated before, this is a makeup look inspired by... Oh, because I can. Someone's asking why am I doing a live, because I'm allowed to. And it shows off the fun, articulate creativity. This is inspired by James Charles when he did a full face using She Glam products. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, sweetheart. And so we're just going to kind of emulate his look that he did, which was a simple floating crease with a pop of blue work. Right? Right, there's one brow done. Both YouTube and TikTok. All right. There you are. Connecting the original eyebrow. Now, my eyebrows are actually completely shaven off. So I draw these on by scratch every single day. Alright, now time to set it with my air spun concoction here. Now that we've basted ourselves with cooking flour practically, I'm going to start blending this off. I'm going to be using my Simply Bella pressed powder in Simply Ivory. And we're just going to dust and blend out setting powder, starting with the edges where the contour is, because that's where this color can help the most. And just swirling it into the center. Alright, now moving on to the brows themselves. I'm going to take a few products here. Where is that? Here we go. Starting off, I'm going to take this brow filler slash highlighter from Wet n Wild. No, because I'm not. I'm a guy that does makeup for a fun living. So this is in the shade medium, and we're just going to use this to lightly fill and shape out the brows before we start getting into the heavier products. And then the same for the other side. Alright. And then just taking a buff brush here with a highlight powder, which is the Glam pressed powder. We're going to feather out the front ends of these brows real quick. Before moving into the liner portion. So taking a Wet n Wild H2O proof liner, this is in the shade Brown Black, which has a longer application, which is nice, and we're just going to use this to fill in the back ends. How old am I? I just turned 32 in March. So I'm officially what you Gen Z want to call over the hill, apparently. just like so. And then taking that same brush, we're going to dip into a darker brow powder, which is the LA Colors Brow Kit. And we're going to take the medium and dark tones and fill and set that liner in place while deepening the back ends here. Cool, mine was the 14th. And then just taking a blank angle brush here. Oh, I grabbed it. I'm going to feather out this color to the front. And then do the same with the other side. Alright, and then doing the same, taking the medium dark powder. Now we're going to take a just when I needed it. Taking this LA Colors pen liner, we're going to use this to create a bit of brow hair strokes, along with shaping and filling the brows a little further before we clean them up. Just like so. And the same with the other side. Not quite even, but we'll make it work. And then taking my arch rival from Lottie London, going to like that. Oops. Now we're going to clean up the undersides of the brows. I'm going to take this LA Colors concealer in the shade Fair. Get a little going. So, and just blend it out. Time it takes to do this, depending on detail, it could take up to about an hour and a half to potentially 2 hours, but lately I've gotten it down to where I can get it finished in about maybe an hour and 20 minutes tops. Today we're going to take our time and have fun with this, celebrating 11 years of doing this. Now to the other side. Oh, looks like some brown hairs decided to stick around. Okay. Right, now time to prime the eyes and get ready to play with shadows. So as I said before, we are going to keep the upper half more neutral and simplistic. And then on the bottom half, we're going to do a pop of blue with a articulate liner moment. So we're going to start off with priming the lids using Profusion's Neutral Base Primer and then a little bit of the NYX Ultimate Eye Primer in shade 1. And then using the Do You Care complexion brush, I'm going to take this and spread that primer around and get the lid prepped and ready. And even though we're still doing a more simplistic eye, I'm still going to use my tape as a guideline to keep it more precise at the edges. Just a little bit of Scotch tape and then right there. And that way we have our etched out line. So for the neutral part, I'm just going to stick with a Wet n Wild, oh goodness, Hard Candy Look Pro eyeshadow palette in Blushful Nudes. And we're just going to mainly stick with the two neutral colors here. So just taking two of my Do You Care brushes, we're going to play with this tone, which is the base shades Class Act. And use this to start the color of the crease. And then taking the deeper one, that's alright. The next shade is called Strapless, which is the darker brown. And just keeping that as close to the crease line as possible. And blending it up just a smidgen. And pretty much that's it, and now we're just gonna cut it and then keep it clean and precise, going in with my Revolution Cut Crease Canvas in neutral. No thanks, Jordan. Something seems a little off here. Alright, that'll do it for now. And just setting it with the same translucent powder we did for the brow. Right, and then pop just a slight bit of color on this eye. We're going to take this Wonder Cloud All Day Soft Shadow from Rimmel in the shade Chilled Peach. We're going to use this to add a slight bit of color back. Plus it'll give something for our glitter shadow to stick to. Again, you set something down, it just disappears. Just gonna... And then taking this Finest Flick Glitter Shadow from e.l.f., which is in the shade Hot White, I'm going to take a little on the finger. So that way we can keep the lid somewhat neutral while having an eye-catching appearance. And with that, we got one eye upper done. Next, on to the other side. Oh. Right, next up. Okay, and the same thing as before, we're going to tape Class Act. That's strapless. Again, it's probably going to be another case where it's not completely even, but we'll make it work. And again, my eyes are never symmetrical, so... That's about as close as they're going to get. And if you guys have any questions that involve like makeup, drag, in general, feel free to pop it up and I'll answer as promptly as I can. Nothing derogative, nothing stupid, nothing political, nothing religious, so on and so forth. But anything else is more than welcome. Back to a little bit of Cloud Wonder. Don't I have... This should work. Alright, and with that, the upper half of the eyes are practically finished. It's a nice, simple, neutral floating crease, and now we're going to move on to the bottom half of the face. And starting off, excuse me, as before, we're going to take my Rimmel multitasker, and we're going to prime and prep. The lower half here. Oh god, what team am I on? Oh, you would have to ask me that, Cindy. Honestly, I'm kind of rooting as a tie between either Lexi or maybe Anya. Love Sam and all, but I don't think she knows how to drop that facade of a pageantry girl that she is. Love Jules to death, but I don't know if she's fully ready for this. And Lexi has been in my heart the entire time, even though some of her inner saboteur moments were the downfall, but she never landed in the bottom, surprisingly. And Anya is more relatable. She's definitely a more relatable queen to have a fun conversation with. Although my heart broke seeing Miss Susie 2 go home. That I thought was a little messed up. I think that episode, Lexi should have been in the bottom because her outfit to me was just so basic. If you took that puffer away, it was just another two-piece dress. Which is something she's worn all season long. It was another Bianca Del Rio wearing the same freaking dress every episode. Oh, Lydia, no. Poor girl. That episode hurt. That lip sync, that really hurt because if it wasn't for those damn scissors. Although I am curious to see when this reunion happens this week, how are the queens going to be reacting with Ms. Arietti? That's going to be the whole tea that everyone's waiting for next episode. Alright, now on to the nose contour. Yay, my favorite portion. Especially if it just now got found out with Jules that Arietti stole her jokes during the roast. That's gonna be some shit. I don't know whether if the producers found out till after the incident or possibly before, but if this is the first time Michelle and them heard that Arietti stole her jokes during the episode, that's going to be a shitstorm waiting to happen. I agree it was. She definitely played the bitter card and tried to sabotage her. But we shall see. I'm dying to see it, but we shall see. And that's also the funny thing is that after the fact, it's like they weren't even funny and she basically shot herself in the foot. So that, I'm curious to see how that's all going to go down. I'm just hoping that it's not going to be another season 10 Vixen moment where either she gets so pissy she walks off stage or something else happens. Adding a little white. Well, that's what the show thrives on, is the drama, and sometimes it does not paint these girls in a good light. And they don't deserve it either. Some of them. Okie dokie. Now moving on to the foundation portion. Just going to take whatever is left in the pot real quick. And then adding a little bit of this Glamoflage Full Foundation from Hard Candy in the shade Beige. We're going to use this to kind of, even though it's more on the yellow side, we're still going to kind of mix it in with our other colors to blend it out. And this is just mainly focused on the beard area. And then taking the sponge, we're just gonna I appreciate it, sweetheart. By the way, I haven't seen you and Mary in a while. We've been worried about you. Both me and Kizzy talked about it the other day, and we were like, we haven't seen our favorite girls in a while. Oh, okay. Okay, now that we are foundated, time to start moving on to the contours. So starting off, I'm going to take Sun Kiss by e.l.f. I'm going to work our deepest contour to shape out our cheek. Oh, we miss seeing you too. Both me and Kizzy were sitting there worried about y'all. Well, absolutely. I'm gonna clean this up a little. So even though we added a dark contour, mixing it with a bit what's left on the foundation brush helped to soften it, but it's still deep enough to where it kind of creates the illusion of a more sunken in cheek. And that is the power of what makeup can do with playing with contours and highlights. A little bit more. And then taking a little bit on the brush, we're going to do our jawline. And actually, what I've been doing is taking this, just lightly. He is. Okay, now onto blush. I'm going to be taking two cute little pink colors from the same brand of the Lang Mani. This is in the shade 1, and then taking the B Color liquid blush in Party Pink. We're going to take both of these and create our liquid blush tone. The darker tone near the contour, and then a lighter tone up top. Today's inspiration is by James Charles when he did a face full of She Glam makeup. I thought it would be something kind of fun to celebrate my 11 years of playing with cosmetics. So it's a simple floating neutral cut crease and then a fun blue moment down on the lower lid. There we go. Nice simplistic pink blush. Right. Now moving on to setting it all. Well, thank you, sweetheart. All the help is always appreciated. And just like before, using my Simply Bella powder, we're just going to blend and dust all this in. You take care, sweetheart. All right. Now moving on to the nose. taking the Shape It contour. Taking the highlight size, we're just going to slim down the nose a little. And now going in with my Wet n Wild loose pink powder, we're going to highlight the undersides of the eyes. Now this is me just being everyday practically. It's kind of like my therapy makeup, so it just kind of helps to alleviate my anxiety and to release some articulate fun. Alright, now moving on to contour. One, two, three, four. I'm going in with my usual 4 steps. Starting off with a base contour. Taking the LA Color bronzer in Beaching Vibes. And a fluffy taper brush. Eyeshadows can be kind of tricky if you don't do the right techniques. I always believe that it does require some kind of a wet base, that way the shadow has something to not only stick onto, but show more of its color. And then taking my NYX Deep Powder, I'm just gonna lightly and then taking my medium powder, which is the L'Oreal Infallible Bronzer in 200. Oh, I hear you. I can imagine that's going to be a difficult task. And last, my light dusting bronzer, which is the Charlotte Tilbury in 2 medium. And there's that. And then do the same to the other side. Okay, and then just a touch up on the jawline. Cool. Now moving on to blush, which we are going to have a field day with this. So starting off, I'm going to take this Tahari Beauty blush in the shade, it doesn't really say, but it's kind of like this orange tone. Just a little bit. And then just to top it off, I'm going to take... Blush can be a bit tricky as long as you're just not overloading it. The best kind of blush I would say if you're wanting to start out with is the CoverGirl Cheekers. They are sheer, but you can't really mess up on them. So you can kind of keep packing on as much as you want without it becoming too much. And this is the shade Rose and Play from NYX. We're just going to use this to help blend out this blush, which is blending into the contour nicely. Alright, now to kind of clean up this underside a little, I'm going to take my CoverGirl Clean Powder in Ivory, and we're just going to use this to help clean up the undersides of these cheeks. Like that. Now to kind of correct this color a little, I'm going to take my Classic Beige True Match Foundation and we're just going to lightly touch up on the highlights to make them a little bit more skin-like, or at least skin-toned. So for the under eyes, alright, and now we're just gonna dust and blend everything together. I'm gonna take my Rimmel in the shade 3 Natural. There we go. And now on to my favorite portion, a little shimmer highlight. And I'm going to take two of my top favorites, which is the Jeffree Star Cosmetics Skin Frost and Uranus. It's a little bit more gold, but it's got a good impact. Oh yeah. And And then just add a little more razzle dazzle. This is the Hard Candy Highlighting Duo in Blushing on You. And we're just going to take the highlighter. Yes, ma'am. And then just a little. And now we're going to be moving on to the under eyes. And starting off with my usual, I'm going to take my White Out eyeshadow stick from Hard Candy. I'm just going to lightly open up. Now with the way that James sort of did his makeup, he did have the inner corners open just a smidgen. So I'm just going to take a little bit of white from my LA Colors palette. And we're just going to do this tiniest amount. Just like so. That way it's not too much, because we're going to use blues and some liner to kind of help seal this down a little bit. Ugh. So taking a little bit of blue from the Crystal Zodiac palette from BH Cosmetics. This is the shade Bluecology. I'm just going to focus this on the outer perimeter here. That was a numbskull for not even grabbing a palette that had a blue in it. Be right back, folks. Alright, going in with my W7 Mardi Gras, we're going to take the shades Sapphire and Ravina. So starting with Sapphire, which is the deep blue. And then a little bit of Ravina. And the way James had his, it was very shimmery, so I'm going to use a small mixture of this Shadow Bomb blue eyeshadow in Dynamic Blue from Revolution. And we're just going to sort of pop a small amount of this. On either side, and then just lightly buffing it out. Uh-oh. There we go. Damn it. Every time, my nose always wants to do this right at the end. And to add the shimmer, we are going to take my Galactic Assemble palette and taking the shade Uranus, which is this lighter blue shadow. kind of like so. May not be quite exact as his, but then again, I'm not nearly as much of a makeup artist to pull off everything. And then taking this blue chrome liquid liner from Hard Candy. This is the Shifting Eyeliner Multi-Chrome in Electric Pop. And we're going to carefully draw on our liner moment, which is circling. Kind of like that. And make sure this is a little more blended out. Now the same to the other. Oh, if there's one thing I hate, it's doing a liner detailing like this. And I'm just going to add a little bit of this asteroid belt. As close as that's going to get. And now to work on the upper liner, I'm going to start off using my Rimmel Inkwell liner, the exaggerated liner. I'm just going to work the lid. And then to kind of clean things up, this LA Colors liquid liner. May not be as clean, but that'll do. And then the same to the other side. About as good as that's going to get before you get a little too out of hand. Okay, and now just a little bit of mascara. Going in with my Curve Bounce mascara from Maybelline. Alright. And then for lips, I think I'm just going to stick with a more neutral tone, just so the eyes are more of the main focus. So with that, I'm going to use this MAC Studio Neutral Liquid Lipstick as a base. Okay. And then taking this Maybelline Espresso lipstick in Mocha Investor. And then a simple lip brush. We're going to trace and fill in the outline of the lips. God, if only I had the courage to invite her. I'm just a nobody, though, compared to Lexi. Oh well. Right, and then I'm gonna add a little bit of this Rosy On Over from Hard Candy in the center. Oh, mine are too, so that's why I overdraw them like hell. Almost done. Oh, thank you. And then just to add a pop of shimmer without it being too glossy, I'm going to take this cream highlight from MAC Studios, which is the same lineup as the neutral lipstick I just used. And we're just going to pop this that way we have a glossy lip without it actually being glossy. It's gonna dry like hell in a few hours, but I'm only wearing this just for the video and a few photos. Next up, lashes. So these lashes are from Ioni. I've already opened these, but here's another pair. This is the 3D Film Mink Lashes, crisscross style lashing, which are these puppies right here. And I've already opened a pair from my last video, or my last look, so I'm just going to reuse these guys. I'm going in with my Duo Lash Glue. Brush on the lid first before taking my Ioni pen and glue liner. That way we have a prep on the lid. False lashes to me are like the open heart surgery next to eyeliner when it comes to makeup. It can be a little intimidating, especially if you're not used to having something just sitting there. So I'm going to take this little mirror real quick so that I can see. And just like that. You know, that actually made my heart pound seeing in my notifications saying invite Lexi Love as a guest. One, I'd be floored if I could even remotely talk with her. But compared to her, I'm nothing. Easy. Well, I've been practicing this for about almost 11 years, but it's still tedious even trying to put them on, especially this left eye. There we go. Alright, and then just to kind of make sure they're mixed together, I'm going to take my Scandalize Madame Web Rimmel Liner. Why so much blue? Just because. Ooh, that's a lot. Thank you. Since we kept the upper eye more neutral, I thought I would do something kind of blown out on the bottom part. All right. Plus, usually half the time whenever I do a lower lash color, I definitely keep it more blown out just for the fun of it. Especially if I'm doing something pretty neutral up top. Alright, well, let's see. All that's missing now is just a little bit of hair in my top, and I think we'd be ready for the reveal. So I'm going to go ahead and clip on my tail. Screw the top. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this is the final reveal of the look. So this is to commemorate 11 years that I started doing makeup since 2014. Oh, well, don't worry. I'm going to save this video, edit it a little bit, and then I'm going to repost it on both my YouTube channel just so that way everyone who's missed the tutorial can then see it again. And it's all under the same user handle name as Illusion 2020. Holy shit. 11 years. That is an eye-opener. I started in 2014 doing just simple curiosity with lipstick. And then it evolved into this. A half-ass drag female impersonator, I guess. Call it what you will. Pros and cons for this look. Pros, I love the simplicity of the upper half. I love the color of the lips. Blush, cute and subtle. Cons, I could have done a better job with the lower lash line, but it is what it is. You go overboard one way or another somewhere. Let's see, shout outs for today. Some of the funner products today, especially as far as the look, was using the new Rimmel Multitasker Concealer. Yeah, right, Dasha? It's been 11 years since I started when it was just me sitting in the lobby of Marco's putting on cheap lipstick from Dollar Tree. And it went from that to this. Yep. One of the lipsticks I remember playing with, it was from a brand called Broadway Colors from Dollar General, and it was a seafoam green color called Remember Nemo. Or something like that. It was something Nemo, but it was like a offset seafoam green color lipstick. No thanks, sweetheart. It would evolve from just playing with the lipsticks to some half-assed done eyeshadow to where we are now. Other products today would be the You Can Be Cream Foundation pot. This is in the shade Pure White, which I used to accentuate the more highlights underneath the eyes and the center of the forehead. Still blended out beautifully and even sat beautifully with anything. Lips today were fun using the Max Factor liquid lipstick in the shade Neutral, which doesn't actually have a name, but we're going to give it one. And then using the, again, you set things down, it just disappears, but it was the liquid lipstick from Maybelline, the Super Stay Matte Ink in Espresso Inventor, which we use as the outline. And then using a little bit of the Hard Candy Rosy On Over. Hold up. Freaking nose. As the center, just to give it a little bit more neutrality. And then of course the cream highlighter on the lips just to have a shimmer without it being glossy. So that way if you ever any hair gets into it, it's not going to stick. Sort of a drag queen hack. If you're ever going to do like a shimmery lipstick, just put some shimmer on top instead of a gloss, so that way if you ever flip your hair, it doesn't ever get into it. Another shout out would be the Galactic Assemble Tin Tark Cosmetics, which is using the shade Uranus and a little bit of the Asteroid Belt for the under eyes. Oh, and then the liquid eyeliner, where did it go? Again, I set things down and they literally disappear out of my hands, but it's the Electro Pop eyeliner, liquid liner from Hard Candy Cosmetics. It's like a multi-chrome blue. This is why I'm glad I'm gonna go through this room tomorrow, but overall, this look I thought came out pretty nicely. It may not be exact what James did, but it's more of a embodiment, if you will. Simple neutral cut crease up top with a pop of blue on the bottom. A little bit of a liner work on the inner corners, so it's a little bit different. But overall, still turned out as a serve. And like I said, 11 years I've been practicing with this. That is crazy. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and log off here and take a few photos, finish up my TikTok. And then I'm going to get something to eat. It is 1 o'clock and I am starving. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to all three of my channels, which is my Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube under iris_illusion_2020 or just irisillusion2020. And I hope to see you guys again soon. Maybe next week we'll do something a little bit more exaggerated and outrageous. Until then, you guys take care. Love you all so much for the love and support, and you guys take care, okay? Until then, see you next time. 1 and 2.